Members, we're moving down the agenda. We're on file item 13, City Attorney's Report. City Attorney, please introduce your report.
Thank you, Mayor. Just real quick, a couple updates on the first case, City of Huntington Beach versus State of California Department of Finance case. The state's Department of Finance sent a letter to the city last week indicating their confirmation of the approval of payment on the $22.4 million that's being returned to Huntington Beach by the state of California. That DOF letter is significant because it basically means that there will not be an appeal in this case of the lower court's ruling in this case. So we will be submitting for that amount of money. With interest, it's closer to $25 million, and then in addition to the $6.8 million that the court already awarded in a previous decision, it's about $32 million coming to the city of Huntington Beach from the state of California. So I just wanted to give an update on the status, procedural status of the case, that there is no appeal.
Thank you. That's something to be proud of.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you very much
for your hard work.
On the second, is it just an update on the air show lawsuit settlement? Because there's been a lot of questions, including like the ones from Mr. Inouye. As many in the community know, in 2022, the Pacific Air Show sued the city of Huntington Beach over the city's cancellation of the Sunday portion of the 2021 air show. It was from that cancellation and from the pending lawsuit that Pacific Air Show communicated that it was not planning to return to the city if it could not reach a compromise in the lawsuit. Without revealing any confidential communications or details of closed session discussions with City Council, I can reiterate that a settlement was reached between the Pacific Air Show and the City of Huntington Beach on May 9th. The settlement was announced the same day, yet there are still questions, even criticisms about the settlement itself. In fact, there was a recent Voice of OC article that makes a number of errors and misrepresentations, raising concerns about ethics and transparency of the settlement itself, fed by what the article attributes to as a minority faction of city council members. While I cannot comment specifically on what occurred in my confidential meetings with council or what was discussed, I can say that the handling of this settlement occurred just like it does in every other case. Any notion that somehow there are questions or concerns over ethics or transparency are completely without merit. With regard to process, which the public should know, in settlement negotiations in all cases, all negotiated terms are presented to the entire city council in writing and discussed in closed session. In settlement negotiations in all cases, all negotiated terms are voted on by the entire city council. In settlement negotiations in all cases, there is no negotiated term in a final settlement that the city council has not seen in writing, discussed, and authorized by a vote. Publicly published closed session agendas show that I met with city council in closed session on this Pacific Air Show case a number of times between December 2022 and the May settlement. Suffice it to say, city council was directly involved. I will say, too, without commenting on anything discussed in closed session, no city council member has ever sent me an email, a letter, or told me that they ever had any ethical concerns or concerns about transparency in the approximate 5 months of settlement negotiations. Not once. After the air show lawsuit was settled in May, a summary of negotiated terms was released to the public, including on a number of occasions. A summary, not the entire signed agreement, was released pursuant and according to state law. That is specifically government code, if you want to look it up, section 54957.1, subsection A, 3B, providing for the disclosure of, quote, the substance of the agreement. The reason the settlement was announced in this way is a few reasons. One, the government code does not expressly require the disclosure of the entire final settlement agreement. Two, the City Council authorized in December of 2022 pursuit of legal action against oil spill defendants in a new city lawsuit. Because of that potential pending litigation, The law creates an exception for disclosure of documents under Government Code sections, if you want to look it up, 7927.200 and 7927.205, to not require disclosure of documents or records that may affect litigation. The city has always followed the law, and this air show settlement was handled in the exact same way that all other settlements have occurred in the past. Literally nothing was done differently in this case. As such, any criticism by anyone, including statements that appear in the recent Voice of OC article, is completely without merit, and continuing to make such statements, frankly, only serves to harm the city, which we all have a duty to act in the best interest of. With that, that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Councilwoman.
So you said that it was done in the same way that all past settlements have been done as far as like the availability of the settlement agreement information. Is that right?
Yes, on my watch.
Okay, so there are, in the Laserfiche, there are available settlements.
There may have been some reason that those were disclosed. They were not disclosed by me, and if they exist, you can send them to me and I can review them.
Okay.
Yeah. In fact, I will add that not only has it been done the exact same way on my watch for nearly the past 10 years, but it was done the exact same way by my predecessors as well.
Anything else from members?
Yeah, just, you brought up a point that I think is worth repeating, that, you know, there's no negotiated term in a settlement that the city council has not seen in writing. We discussed and we authorized by a vote. And to go to the press and allude to anything different or infer that there's any wrongdoing has occurred is absurd. And frankly, I find it outrageous. So this is, modus operandi, this happens in every single case that's settled. So to say it, go to the press and say that's different, I think is absurd.
Anything else? All right. Go ahead, Councilwoman.
I've tried to remain very calm and graceful through all of our differences. But the fact that the three of you guys keep going to the papers and bashing us doesn't help our city. And we've had people constantly saying they want us to get along, but if you think we're unethical, maybe you should have a conversation with us about that instead of going out there and telling the papers without having any discussions with us. So we're trying to develop a cohesive relationship, but these constant attacks do not help us and they do not help our city. So that's actually all I have to say. It's pretty upsetting to pick up the paper and then hear our council members call us unethical. Ms. Bolton over here saying that's just the way they roll. And if by that what you mean is that we are keeping our promises to our constituents, you are correct. And there will be more of that.
Councilwoman.
I will say that I think that ultimately we'll have to let a judge decide about that. We'll let a judge decide about whether it's appropriate to not release the settlement agreement to the public, and that'll be that.
Okay.
Just for the record, because
Yeah.
for the record, there's no lawsuit on this and there's no threat of any lawsuit. So I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I don't want the public to be further confused. The purpose of my report was to come level with the status of the airshow settlement and to answer questions that I've received from the public about how this all takes place. And I just wanted to explain the process and that it's the same in every single case. And the government code, we follow state law. So if you know something I don't know, I guess we can talk offline. But for the public's benefit, I do not know of any pending litigation, threat of litigation, or current litigation on this topic. Thank you.